Hello my dear friends, today we will discuss about the interesting topic called fireworks. Now my dear friends, there is a principle behind it, that how it works, what is the science behind it. Let us discuss about it. Yes my friends, the principle behind the working of a firework is the pyrotechnics. Now what is pyrotechnics? My dear friends, pyrotechnics is the science of using materials which are capable of undergoing self-contained and self-sustained exothermic chemical reactions. Exothermic means which release the energy, which release the heat, right? Thermic is heat and exo means out, means releasing, right? Endo is something what we call it as absorbing or inside, right? But exo is the exit. Just remember exit. So it is the heat releasing chemical reaction for the production of heat, light, gas, smoke, and or sound. So there are materials which undergo some chemical reactions which release of the heat for the production of the light, gas, smoke, and or sound. So this is how basically the fireworks work. Now pyrotechnics include not only the manufacture of fireworks, but it also includes the items such as safety matches, oxygen candles, explosive balls, and uh, fasteners, components of automotive airbag, and gas pressure blasting in mining, quarrying, and demolition. So it is not only about manufacturing of fireworks, it includes a lot of many things. So pyrotechnics is not just limited to the fireworks but also to the other safety things. Now, individuals which are responsible for the safe storage, handling, and functioning of pyrotechnic devices are referred to as pyrotechnicians. Now, before the fireworks come into the market, pyrotechnicians are there to test it, whether it is working properly or not, and it should not damage the society, right? So here one thing which is very much important to be understood is about mortar. Mortar plays a very important role in the fireworks. A mortar is an indirect fire weapon. Just remember this. It is an indirect, it is fire weapon that fires explosive projectiles known as mortar bombs at low velocities and short ranges and high arcing ballistic trajectories. So it is typically a muzzle loading and has a barrel length less than 15 times its caliber. So this is how it explodes. This is all about the mortar, which is an indirect fire weapon that fires the explosive projectiles. Now we will see the working of fireworks. We'll see there are many such fireworks available in the market, but we are not going to discuss all of them. We are going to discuss few of them, a very popular one. So let us start with the working. Yes my friends, working of a spherical shell, or how a spherical shell works. Now my dear friends, aerial shells are the most well-known types of fireworks, and these are what rise into the air and create magnificent colorful bursts of light which are seen at public fireworks display. So a spherical shell is a shell which consists of a spherical ball or cylinder and a lift charge. So these are placed in the mortars, and there are simple ones too which do not require any mortars. So what we are going to discuss about a spherical shell is without a mortar. Yes my friends, this is a picture of a spherical shell. Now here I would like to tell you a very simple mechanism behind this working of a firework, an aerial shell. This is a lift charge, the black powder lift charge, right? So this is a lift charge which will ignite the aerial shell. It reaches to the time fuse then until the bursting charge, until it reaches the bursting charge. It lifts the charge upwards and then it explodes finally with the colorful pellets of the stars. So this is the very simple mechanism. Now I would like to tell you that when it is ignited by a pyrotechnician, the lift charge on the bottom of the shell, which is not more than a cup full of black powder, here you can see, it explodes and it shoots the shoots the shell into the air like a bullet from a gun. And as the shell is rising upwards, a time fuse inside of it is burning towards the burst charge. And at the precise altitude, the burst charge consisting of black powder impregnated on the rice hulls, it finally bursts it apart and ignites the color pellets on the inside. Right? So what will happen? That this display shells or the aerial shells will explode the beautiful stars as the colorful pellets. Now here display shells can range anywhere from 3 to 24 inches in diameter, and these are the shells which generally go 100 feet up for every inch in diameter they are, and thus an 8-inch shell will go approximately 800 feet into the air before bursting. So this is about the aerial shell. I would like to present one more picture of an aerial shell. Yes, here you can see one more beautiful picture. Like this is a fuse. We light it with a matchstick or anything which can ignite it. Finally it reaches to the lift charge and then the time fuse again to the burst charge, and it will explode the stars by opening the shell casing, and finally the string loop will open. Right? So spherical shells, these are used by professionals, which are used by professionals, are very similar to the smaller versions which are sold on the consumer market. Now the most obvious difference is the larger size, which lets the shell hold more stars. So this is the internal time fuse which goes through the bottom of the shell, and it is ignited by the lifting charge, as is the case with the consumer shells. And on large shells, however, the blast of the lifting charge could literally blow the fuse away without igniting it. So the time fuse is made to go out through the top of the shell. And if this method is used, the time fuse is coated with a priming composition and is ignited by the hot gases of the lift charge. How amazing it is, right? So this is about the aerial shell, or we can call it as a display shell, or we can call it as a spherical shell too, right? So this was all about a spherical shell. Now we will discuss about the working of other fireworks. So let us discuss about it. Yes, the working of other fireworks. First of all, we'll discuss about cylindrical display shells. Now here they were invented in Italy, and they are more common in Europe and America than spherical shells, and somewhat part of India too. So although they don't give perfectly spherical bursts of stars like round shells, but they are easier to make and store. So the time fuse, it works in the same way as the spherical shells, as I discussed, right? The time fuse here is ignited by the quick match. It is the quick match leader, right? As the fire goes down to the lift charge, the black powder lift charge, the time fuse is nearly impossible to ignite from the end, so holes are punctured in the sides and the strips of the black match fuse, and there they are inserted, right? So here are the burst charge. So this is known as the cross match, where finally the burst charge and the black powder lift charge takes place. So this is known as cross match assembly, where the black match takes fire very easily and it transfers it into the powder core of the time fuse, and the time fuse gives off no side spit to burst charge, and it doesn't ignite until the black match on the opposite end is ignited by the time fuse. This one, these both of them, right? So first the burst charge and the black powder lift charge will come into picture. Finally, the cross match, it transfers the powder core of the time fuse to the black match, and then what will happen? The time fuse will give off the burst charge until the black match on the opposite end is ignited. And this is a beautiful picture, the detailed picture, which shows that how it explodes in the cylindrical manner, right? So this was all about the cylindrical display shell. The other one which we are going to discuss here is about rocket. Now here, when most people think of fireworks, an aerial shell probably comes to mind, but these are the fireworks that are shot into the sky to explode. Now you must be knowing about it. It acts as a rocket. That is why it is named as a rocket shell. Now there are some modern fireworks which are launched using compressed air as a propellant. Now here it is a propellant which plays an important role, and it explodes using an electronic timer, but most aerial shells remain launched and exploded using gunpowder. But here no gunpowder comes into picture, just like the aerial shells. Now gunpowder based aerial shells essentially function like two-stage rockets. Now here the first stage of an aerial shell is a tube containing gunpowder, this one, that is lit with a fuse, much like a large firecracker. This is a fuse, right? And the difference is that the gunpowder is used to propel the firework into the air rather than to explode the tube, right? So there is a hole at the bottom of the firework so that the expanding nitrogen, this hole or the hollow chamber, so that what happens? It expands the nitrogen and carbon dioxide gases and launches the firework into the sky. The second stage of aerial shell is a package of gunpowder, more oxidizer, and colorants with more colorants. So the packing of the components determine the shape of the firework. And finally, it burst charges. The stars and effects will explode out from the thick casing, and then the nose cone will go directly on the upper side, and it will make this rocket shell fly high in the air, right? So that was all about the rocket shell. Yes, now the other firework which we are going to discuss is about the sparkler. Now here a sparkler consists of a chemical mixture that is molded into a rigid stick or a wire. Here you can see, also called as Tara Mandal, right, in Hindi. So these chemicals often are mixed with water to form a slurry that can be coated on a wire by dipping or poured into a tube. So once the mixture dries, you have a sparkler. Wow, amazing, right? So aluminium, iron, steel, zinc or magnesium dust or flakes may be used to create the bright shimmering sparks. And an example of a simple sparkler recipe, or not a recipe, but an example of a simple sparkler, it consists of a potassium perchlorate and dextrine mixed with water to coat a stick, and then it is dipped into aluminium flakes, and that is why it looks like an aluminium stick or a rod. So the metal flakes, they heat up until they are shined brightly, or at a high enough temperature they are actually burnt. So a variety of chemicals can be added to create different colors, and the fuel and oxidizer are proportioned so well that along with the other chemicals, the sparkler burns very slowly rather than exploding like a firecracker. And that is why we give the sparkler to the children, and they enjoy a lot, and it is not even damaging. So once the one end of the sparkler is ignited, it burns progressively to the other end, right? So this is how it works. So that was all about the principle behind the fireworks and the working of different fireworks like aerial shells, rocket shells, cylindrical shells, and sparklers. I hope you liked today's session learning about fireworks. Hope you enjoy your next Christmas and next Diwali very finely with different fireworks. Till then, have a nice time and enjoy.